Fired but not defeated. Success stories of famous personalities. You know, I've talked to so many people over the years who felt like they were at a crossroads, like one wrong turn would send them tumbling down a path they couldn't come back from. And maybe some of you watching this right now feel that way too. Maybe you lost your job, or a business failed, or a dream you had just didn't work out the way you planned. But here's the truth. Failure, it's not final. It's not the period at the end of your story. It's just a comma, a pause before the next chapter. And trust me, that next chapter, it can be even more amazing than you ever imagined. Today, we're going to hear some truly inspiring stories about people who were fired, let go, shown the door, and how they took that rejection and turned it into something incredible. J.K. Rowling, from fired secretary to best-selling author. Let's start with a woman whose words have touched millions, J.K. Rowling. Before she was a literary icon, she was a single mother, working as a secretary in London. She had a dream about a boy wizard and scribbled notes whenever she could. But she was let go from her job, deemed not suitable for the role. Instead of giving up, she used it as motivation to keep going. She kept writing, pouring her heart into Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. That book became a global phenomenon. J.K. Rowling's story reminds us that setbacks can lead to triumphs. Believe in yourself, even when others don't. Jerry Seinfeld, from a fired sitcom actor to a comedy legend. Now let's talk about someone who knows a thing or two about making people laugh, even when life throws you a curveball. Jerry Seinfeld, the man behind the iconic sitcom Seinfeld, a show about nothing that became something truly special. But before he was filling our living rooms with laughter, Jerry was a working comedian, paying his dues, taking any gig he could get. One of those gigs was a recurring role on the sitcom Benson. Now, anyone who's ever had a job they weren't passionate about knows it can be tough. You're going through the motions, trying to make the best of it, but deep down you know it's not the right fit. And for Jerry, that's exactly what Benson was. He had his own ideas about comedy, his own unique voice, and it just wasn't meshing with the direction of the show. So after a series of disagreements with the director, Jerry was let go, fired. Can you imagine? You're a young comedian trying to make a name for yourself, and you get fired from a steady gig. It would be enough to make anyone question their path, their talent, their whole future. Anna Wintour, from fired fashion editor to Vogue queen. Let's talk about Anna Wintour, the editor-in-chief of Vogue, a true icon. Before gracing the front row of fashion shows, Anna was a young, ambitious editor. She landed a job as a junior fashion editor at Harper's Bazaar, bursting with ideas, eager to make her mark. But even brilliant stars can clash with constellations. Anna's innovative ideas didn't always align with her editor. This led to her being fired, let go from a job in the industry she was destined to rule. But Anna didn't let this setback derail her journey. She used it as fuel, grew from it, and came back stronger. She became the editor-in-chief of Vogue, transforming the magazine into the fashion Bible it is today. A true visionary, proving that being fired can push you to reach your full potential. Chapter 4. Bill Belichick, from fired coach to NFL legend. Now, let's shift gears for a moment and talk about a man who knows a thing or two about winning. Bill Belichick, the legendary coach of the New England Patriots. I mean, we're talking about a man who's led his team to 6 Super Bowl victories, a feat that's practically unheard of in the world of professional sports. But before he was hoisting Lombardi trophies and cementing his place in NFL history, Bill Belichick faced his fair share of setbacks, including one very public firing. It was 1995, and Belichick was the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Now the Browns, they weren't exactly known for their winning ways back then, and despite Belichick's best efforts, the team struggled. And as is often the case in professional sports, when the team isn't performing, the coach takes the fall. So, after 5 seasons with the Browns, Belichick was let go, fired. Can you imagine the pressure, the scrutiny, the feeling of disappointment that must have washed over him? Here he was, a man who dedicated his life to football, who lived and breathed the sport, and he was being told he wasn't good enough. It would have been easy for him to wallow in that rejection, to question his abilities, to wonder if he had what it took to succeed at the highest level. But Bill Belichick, he's not wired that way. Chapter 5. Madonna, from fired Dunkin' Donuts employee to pop icon. Let's talk about someone who turned a sticky situation into a recipe for superstardom, Madonna. Yes, Madonna, the queen of pop, the material girl herself. Before she was selling out stadiums, challenging conventions, and inspiring a generation to express themselves, she was a young woman working at a Dunkin' Donuts in Times Square. Can you picture it? The hustle and bustle of New York City, the aroma of coffee and donuts filling the air, and a young Madonna just trying to make ends meet. Now, anyone who's ever worked a service job knows it can be tough. You're on your feet all day, dealing with customers, and sometimes you just want to let loose, have a little fun. And that's exactly what Madonna did. She had this playful spirit, this rebellious streak, and one day she decided to express it, shall we say, a little too enthusiastically on the job. Let's just say it involved a jelly-filled donut and a customer who wasn't too thrilled about the impromptu pastry projectile. Chapter 6. Ryan Gosling, from fired actor to Hollywood heartthrob. Let's talk about a man who turned a major movie setback into a career-defining moment, Ryan Gosling. You know him, you love him, he's the heartthrob with the smoldering stare and impressive acting chops. Before La La Land and The Notebook, Gosling was a young actor hungry for his big break. For The Lovely Bones, he underwent a dramatic transformation that didn't go as planned. Directed by Peter Jackson, Gosling was eager to play Jack Salmon, the grieving father. He grew a beard, gained weight, and crafted his own wardrobe. Gosling even sent Jackson a video of himself fully transformed. But Jackson wasn't quite on board with Gosling's interpretation. Chapter 7. Mark Cuban, from fired employee to billionaire entrepreneur. Let's talk about a man who turned a pink slip into a billion-dollar empire. Mark Cuban, the outspoken owner of the Dallas Mavericks, a savvy investor on Shark Tank, and a self-made billionaire who embodies the American entrepreneurial spirit. But before he was courtside at NBA games, hearing pitches from hopeful entrepreneurs, or sharing his business acumen with the world, Mark Cuban was a young man hustling in the world of computer software sales. Now, anyone who's ever worked in sales knows it's a cutthroat world. You're constantly on the phone, chasing leads, trying to close deals, and sometimes you have to bend the rules a little to get ahead. And that's exactly what Mark Cuban did. He had this entrepreneurial fire in his belly, this drive to succeed, and one day, he saw an opportunity to close a major deal, even if it meant going against his employer's wishes. He prioritized the potential client over his company's immediate interests, believing that the long-term payoff would be worth the risk. Well, as you might imagine, his employer didn't quite see it that way. They valued loyalty and following the rules, and Cuban's maverick move was a step too far. He was let go, fired for his audacious attempt to secure a major deal. Can you imagine the uncertainty, the fear of the unknown after being fired from your job, especially when you have bills to pay and dreams to chase? Chapter 8. Walt Disney, from fired cartoonist to animation legend. Let's talk about a man whose name is synonymous with imagination, creativity, and the magic of childhood, Walt Disney. Yes, that Walt Disney, the man who brought us Mickey Mouse, Snow White, and a whole universe of beloved characters. But before he was building theme parks, winning Oscars, and inspiring generations of dreamers, Walt Disney was a young cartoonist, just starting out, trying to find his footing in the world of animation. Now, it's hard to imagine a time when the name Disney wasn't synonymous with creativity, but even the most brilliant minds faced their share of rejection early on. Walt Disney was no exception. In his early 20s, he was working as a newspaper cartoonist at the Kansas City Star, eager to make a name for himself. He had this boundless imagination, a knack for storytelling, and a passion for bringing his drawings to life. But sometimes, even the most innovative ideas can clash with the sensibilities of the time. Disney's cartoons, with their whimsical characters and playful humor, were deemed lacking in imagination by his editor. We've heard some incredible stories today, haven't we? From authors to comedians to fashion icons to athletes to entrepreneurs to the man who made magic real. Each one of these individuals faced rejection. They faced that sting of being told no. But here's the thing, they didn't let those setbacks define them. They didn't let those rejections break their spirit or dim their light. Instead, they used them as fuel, as motivation to dig deeper, to work harder, to come back stronger. They believed in themselves, even when others doubted them. They clung to their dreams, even when the path was uncertain. And in the end, they proved that sometimes the greatest successes are born out of our greatest challenges. So the next time you're facing a setback, remember these stories. Remember the resilience of J.K. Rowling, the determination of Bill Belichick, the audacity of Madonna, the unwavering vision of Walt Disney. Remember that you have the power within you to overcome any obstacle, to turn any no into a yes, to write your own success story, no matter how many times you have to revise the script. Because you, my friend, are capable of amazing things. Keep believing, keep pushing, and never ever give up on your dreams. Because sometimes the most unexpected detours can lead you straight to your destiny.